Hi guys, this is the second video about my so-called AutoUpdatingBot, showing some elements of Dialogflow API. In the first video, we learned how to create a simple chatbot on Dialogflow with a webhook on Node.js. This bot is using Dialogflow API to auto-update, that is, to add new intents to the underlying agent if the bot doesn't understand user's input, or if a user wants to add some new pair of a training phrase and response purposefully. The functionality which will be described in this video is built on the top of what we've done earlier, so you might need to watch the first video, or if you are familiar with Dialogflow and writing webhooks on Node.js, then you may simply use the repository, which includes the Dialogflow agent, to get to the place from which we will be starting now. So, in this video, we will show how to make your Dialogflow chatbot expand the list of training phrases for a given intent based on the so-called intentDetectionConfidence score. That is, when some intent is triggered with a threshold confidence score, which we will choose, then we will programmatically add this phrase to the corresponding intent. As a result, it will be possible to trigger such intent with a wider range of phrases. Let me show this on some real example. Let's go to the Dialogflow console and open our AutoUpdatingBot. As you can see here, we have, for example, an intent with a name starting from "What is love?" This intent was added through the dialog with our bot using the functionality which was described in the previous video. So this intent has one training phrase, "What is love?", to which it answers with "This is everything." Let's make a small test. If we enter the phrase how would you describe love?", it will trigger our intent "What is love?". If we click on the button Diagnostic Info, which is in the bottom right part of the console, in the tab Raw API Response, after scrolling down, we'll find the key called intentDetectionConfidence, with a value something about 0.60. This score shows how close is the phrase to those already present in the intent. Also, it's worth mentioning that in the settings of our bot, in the Machine Learning Settings tab, there is a parameter called Machine Learning Classification Threshold, which determines the value. By default is 0.3, below which the default fallback intent will be triggered. So back to our "What is love?" intent. Now, if we enter another phrase, "Give me the definition of love," it will also trigger our intent "What is love?" with intent detection confidence of about 0.52. And now, if we manually add our first test phrase, "How would you describe love?", save and wait till the agent is retrained, and then again enter our second test phrase, then for the phrase "How would you describe love?", we will naturally get confidence score 1, and for our second phrase "Give me the definition of love", we will get not 0.52, but a higher score, almost 0.7. This is because we added the second phrase and the machine learning model was retrained And now our phrase "give me the definition of love" became, so to say, more understandable to the bot in the context of this intent. So this was the theory, and now we will go through the updates which will implement this auto-inserting of new training phrases based on the intent detection confidence score. These changes will affect our webhook code only. No changes on Dialogflow are needed. So let's open our webhook app in our IDE. First, in addition to the function used to create new intents, we will need two more functions. One to get the intent by its ID, and another to update this intent with a new training phrase. So in the index.js file, located in directory lib.dialogflow, let's add a function getIntent, which will be getting the intent's name, which I'd better call intent path, not to confuse with the intent's contents object, which we'll be using later. So here we will be calling the getIntent method from the intent's client, passing intent path name as a name of the intent, and intent view parameter equal to intent view full. And if we get the response, then we need the first element of the received array. Otherwise, getIntent function will be returning false. Now let's write a function updateIntent, which will be getting intent path name and the new training phrase. First, it will retrieve the intent with such a name, and if no result was got, it will throw an error. If we received our intent, we will prepare a specifically structured object with a new phrase. Structure of this object can be copied from our earlier createIntent function. Then we will add this object as a new element to the array of training phrases objects in the intent we have retrieved. And finally, we will call the updateIntent method from the intent's client, passing an object with key called intent and the value equal to our intent with updates. And let's not forget to export this function updateIntent. Let's test how this function is working. Let's go to Dialogflow and copy the name of our intent. Then we will call updateIntent function, passing this name and a new training phrase. And then let's console log the response. Now let's launch our webhook app and check how new phrases are added to the corresponding intent. Now we need to make a small update to the df webhook.js file in the roads directory. Let me remind that here we have a fallback function which is handling webhook calls coming from all our intents. We have specific handlers for 4 intents used for adding new intents. Our new code will be in the default block of this switch case and will be fired for any intent besides those 4. And by the way, this is why in our first video, when adding a new intent, we were switching its webhook on. So in the default block of switch case, we will get our intent detection confidence from conf body query result. Next, we need to think which value of this intent detection confidence could be used as a threshold for updating an intent. Let's, for example, set it equal to 0.6. We will be storing this value in our .env file. So let's add a new record there, confidence limit for intent update equal to 0.6. Back to our df webhook.js, let's check if intent detection confidence in the triggered intent is equal or higher than our confidence limit for intent update. And then in such a case, we will be updating our intent. We will get the intent path and user's query phrase, and we'll try to trigger our update intent function. If an exception was got here, it will be catched by the catch block of our fallback function, and will respond with the phrase, "Oops, something went wrong, please try again." If our update was OK, then we will respond with a response set on Dialogflow for the corresponding intent, followed by corresponding phrase was added to this intent. And if intent detection confidence was lower than our threshold value, we will simply respond with a response which was set on Dialogflow. That's all. Let's check how this is working. Let's delete our what is love intent, add it again, and confirm that it contains only the initial training phrase. Now let's enter how would you describe love and see what happens. As we see, we got a response saying that this phrase was added to our intent on Dialogflow. And really, we see a new phrase in the training phrases of this intent.